What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is M Cubed, and of course, I am Schmook, and I'm here with a good old pal of mine, Brad. Say hey to the folks.
It's a pleasure to be back, my friend. Thank you.
Of course. Today we are going to be talking about the first film in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man Trilogy, the masterful trilogy by this brilliant filmmaker. And there's a special reason for it, because Columbia Pictures is celebrating their 100-year anniversary. So they're putting all these movies back in theaters. So like this week is the first Spider-Man, and then the next week is 2 and 3, and then they're doing Amazing Spider-Man, and of course the Tom Holland movie. So you're getting a lot of Spidey within these next 2 months. But of course, I went yesterday to see the first Sam Raimi movie, so I figured, let's do this. Let's finally make this happen, where me and Brad talk about one of our favorite movie trilogies of all time.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, I've got an original print of a Spider-Man 2 poster. If you look in the corner, it does say copyright 2004. So that's real shit. That's a 20-year-old. And then we've got the cover for Ultimate Spider-Man. So, you know.
Hell yeah.
We're in our element here, Schmook.
Spidey's our boy. We know this.
Yes.
Of course, Sam Raimi is one of my personal favorite filmmakers of all time. And, of course, mainly because of this trilogy, but I love his Evil Dead stuff. But he brings that horror aspect to this trilogy, which is like his main stamp on it. But yeah, there's something. Okay, so I saw this movie yesterday, right? And again, I've never seen this movie in the theaters because it came out in like 2002, right? So
yeah,
I was probably too young to see it, or at least too young to remember seeing it if I did. But this was my first real reaction to it in a theater, and it was hype. It was nice.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, and what was nice was before the movie, they even played they had like a little bit of a sizzle reel, not a sizzle reel, but like
what was the Alamo thing, right?
They're going through all the different logos of the Columbia Pictures. It was cool, and just be like, oh, this is the 100-year anniversary. We're throwing this up, but
well, and it was it part of the was it part of the presentation at the Alamo?
No, it was after you're now showing, they finished the.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was no matter what, this was attached to the movie itself, so it was pretty cool.
Damn. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so the second it started up, you're getting that awesome. You get the amazing Danny Elfman score going through who's in the movie, whatnot. Just those opening credits are beautiful. Of course, when we get to next week, Spider-Man 2s are way more masterful because it has that Alex Ross art attached to it.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, I mean, this movie kind of throws you right into it. I mean, just based off the opening credits alone, because hearing that Danny Elfman score for the first time is epic. It's just when I was watching this movie, I was putting myself in that mindset of what it would have been like to go see this movie in 2002 in the theaters, right?
Yeah, I mean, if only we weren't 4.
Right.
I mean, I guess we could have kind of comprehended it, but it wouldn't be like saying, being a fan. Imagine you've started reading comics in the 80s or 90s, and now it's dude, what? There's a big screen Spider-Man film?
Well, especially since, one, they were trying to get a Spider-Man film off the ground for quite a while, originally with Leonardo DiCaprio attached and James Cameron to direct. So that was supposed to happen, and then of course,
was that film was trying to go into development? Was that late 90s?
Yeah, late 90s. So it didn't happen clearly, but of course we get them ready to be all right, let's just get a Spider-Man movie out there. You get Tobey Maguire, you get Sam Raimi. Let's make a fucking movie, and.
It's just an interesting. I mean, right off the bat, think about that. You have the director of the Evil Dead trilogy, and it's okay, that's your Spider-Man guy,
right? And I feel like some people are huh, interesting. That's a interesting choice. Where at the time I'd be oh, James Cameron, he can easily do a Spider-Man film, because he was originally attached. But again, we get this, and I'm happy for it. But again, being in that theater, I'm at this point, there's not a ton of elite comic book movies out that people have seen in the theaters. Yeah, you had the Tim Burton Batman movies that a lot of people really enjoy, and then
Donner Superman,
right? But then you get to that kind of that murky area where you get Batman and Robin, and just stuff that people were not really vibing with, right?
Well, and the other Superman sequels are
Right.
terrible.
Exactly. But then you get like Blade, which was cool, but like people weren't like really fucking with it either, I would say.
Well, Blade, I feel like Blade and I mean, partly because he directed both, but Blade and like Hellboy, those are like low on the radar. But I mean, Hellboy's 2004,
right.
So perhaps
it was more in the renaissance of the superhero genre, I would say. But,
but still, like
Blade kind of sparked it a little bit, but then X-Men really brought it forward. X-Men's the one that really brought this genre forward, being like, oh shit, we can make a superhero movie that's not shit. And so obviously Sony wanted to get on that and make a Spider-Man movie. And what a movie we got, there was always a time where I consistently go back and forth on which of these movies I like the most. And
I think it's an easy choice. Well, actually,
I know. I mean,
I think it's an easy choice overall, but like
they're all masterful in their own way.
Yeah,
they're all very different movies. The three of the Sam Raimi movies, right?
Absolutely.
With this one's like a pure like comic booky goodness,
pure origin story,
and not like the biggest like depth or like thematic undertone to it. I would say it has some great moments and like the idea of responsibility, sure, but obviously 2 goes deep into like the human psyche and like balancing time and whatnot, and 3 is just like when your whole
and kind of like accepting. Like I think for 2, honestly, like you could say one of the biggest things about it is almost like Peter like accepting a sort of like manhood. Like he has to like, it's the end of like the high school beginning Spider-Man and like going into like this is the real deal.
Yeah, this is life now.
Yeah, not that one, as we'll get to, isn't crazy like that, where he has to fight to the death, but like,
you lose your uncle, your father figure, also.
Right.
I mean, but that's like the main thing about Spider-Man, like what makes him choose this life of good and responsibility over just I'm going to a wrestling match just to try to make some money,
Yeah.
But yeah. So of course, Toby, like I'm like being in this theater, I was like, okay, it was good to just hear like a bunch of people laughing to a bunch of stuff, like Toby delivering like these like cringy lines and shit like that, but it's like, it's Toby, and I just love whenever he talks to MJ in this movie. It's just like, this dude does not know how to talk to this woman whatsoever. He's like, at one point, like they're in the city, they're graduated, right? And he just goes, maybe we can grab some lunch some evening or some shit like that to MJ. And it's just like, it cracks me up. Like,
grab some lunch some evening. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, it's the naivete of like beginning Peter Parker. Like it's the sheltered Peter.
Not as much confidence either. Like
no, absolutely not.
And he's been through hell at this point in the movie, where it's just like he's just starting to be Spider-Man. He hasn't even met the Green Goblin yet, and he just lost his uncle. But she's trying to honor his legacy by doing this, just by stopping petty crime and whatnot. But one of the most beautiful things about this movie is just you get J.K. Simmons as one of the most perfectly casted roles of any actor to be J. Jonah Jameson.
Like, oh my gosh, yeah.
And this movie just hits it, like just from the get-go, like he's just screaming at people in his office, and he's like declining phone calls from his secretary, and she's even just like, your wife wants to know which blah blah to get, and he's just like, whichever one's cheaper. And it's just like, it's great.
It's perfect. And it almost, this is the most random thought, but even just the it's cheaper thing, he has the same or similar vibe as a boss as like Mr. Krabs.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that.
Such a random association, but I'm like, dude, those characters are weirdly like similar to me in a way. Like I don't know what put that together finally, but I think that I mean, he's in that, he gets to like realms of like that absurdity, but it's like, I mean, because J.K. Simmons is so good, like he I don't know. It's this level of like thinking about it like dramatically too. It's like it's this level of, you know, like some kind of boss or like male like figure in Peter's life that has gotten to this type of like extreme, and like he has to like deal, you know, like, and not only that, but that's like part of his like income. Like it's just an, I don't know, it's an interesting like it's an interesting challenge having
Sure.
someone
Well,
like,
he's also
having
just got.
like J. Jonah Jameson.
Well, right, and Peter's just clearly not getting paid what his pictures are worth because he's getting the best stuff on the market
Bro,
to this guy for
yeah.
cheap.
Dude,
And
the government would be wanting those pictures. Like
oh yeah,
that's, you know, like that's crazy.
right. Um, I was
I
gonna go
will, okay,
somewhere
let me
there,
add,
but
I mean, speaking of the photos, there is something, at least for me personally, that I feel um again in thinking about it, which is why I'm glad you brought me on the show today. Um that I suppose now in my life, like the character of Peter, especially in these movies, like really hits with also like having like a job structure that's like something with photography and like video. Like I don't know, there's that point of connection that with the literal character of Peter himself that I find you know, has me relating to him so much more now than I even had when I was a kid, which is like, I mean, it's hard to say you relate to Spider-Man like as a little kid, but you know what I mean? Like there's I don't know, it's a strange thing to like feel, but I feel like it makes, again, at least for me, like the character all the more deeper, especially like struggling with that as like a job.
well, yeah. I mean, that's why I think
In a
in
way, he does like Peter Parker does like an art
right.
like for his job, which I find interesting that it's never talked about in that way, that he has like an, you know what I mean? Like he has like some kind of artistic sensibility.
Sure. Well, that's what I love. Like Spider-Man, I feel it's always been like one of, if not the most relatable superheroes of all time.
Yeah.
And this trilogy is what really hits that, though. Especially Spider-Man 2. I think Spider-Man 2, which we'll
Yes.
talk about like a lot next week, of course, but just like being down, like, you know, not be able to pay your rent or missing class or like getting bad grades in class, not be able to have the girl you love, uh, you know, stuff like that. You know, just that relatability hits home way more in two than one. But one is just meant to be this, oh, we are being brought into this world and
Yeah.
getting introduced to this Peter Parker, this Spider-Man. And like that, they hit it hard. Of course, like that. So what hit me like really hard seeing this in the movie theater was right after Uncle Ben dies,
Yeah.
where I've always seen this sequence as like it's a cool sequence, but how he immediately like gets into his suit and wants to track down this guy who just killed Uncle Ben.
Oh, it's powerful, man. His rage.
His rage, right? But it's just like how he's climbing up the walls and stuff. Like it's shot very well. And then like when he's doing that first swing where he doesn't know if he can, you know, use both hands, or even like he doesn't even know how to truly swing yet. But
No.
then he just goes and does it. And it's like it's quite a remarkable sequence to see it, like, because I've never seen it in that way where it's like, oh, like I always see this movie as like, oh, that final swing is god tier. But I was a big fan of this one after coming out of this screening. Um, it's just that powerful aspect of like, this is where we're about to see the true birth of Spider-Man.
Yes. Yeah, man, his journey into becoming the true like Spider-Man like in the costume um is really incredible because, you know, of course, like the man spider when he's fighting with Randy Savage is pretty
The
hilarious.
human spider.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the human spider versus Bonesaw.
Right, and then just
But
Bruce.
that's really good. And you know, again, like I what I think is like the threshold moment of like being human spider, like just that, you know, the faint aspect of the persona is like growing, and then
The
he crosses the
prototype, I would say.
threshold when he, I guess, technically kills the burglar.
Right.
Um
It was definitely his intentions, but he technically didn't do the final blow.
Or he like tripped on the pipe thing.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, man. I just love anytime I watch this movie because I mean this is one of those movies I rewatch multiple times. It's just one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, I've seen it easily 20 times since childhood.
Easily.
Easily.
And, yeah. I just love the whole beginning sequence where they're at this lab, right, where he's gonna get bit by the spider. Their teacher literally looks younger than them, and it cracks me up.
It's so strange. Yeah,
It's so strange.
It's
Like,
one of those movies where it does have the syndrome of like all of the actors look
way older,
way too old to be high schoolers.
I'm like, Sam, you could have casted someone who is like you know, just like a middle-aged man, you know?
Yeah. That had to be like a TA or something. That's the in-universe reference.
Right. Sci-fi quest. I would have to disagree. I think Toby's an excellent Peter Parker, but you know, to each their own. That's your opinion. Wait.
I was on the wrong tab. I didn't even see the
I'll just pop it up on the
comment.
Yeah.
Come on, wait. I always like hearing from sci-fi, but what is that? What is this comment?
Yeah, but like he's definitely more like that old school Peter Parker, you know, like just that completely nerdy, socially awkward Peter Parker. And then at Spider-Man, he still has like, the quips and whatnot. Obviously, Andrew does things quite differently, and I think
Andrew's more like the ultimate Spider-Man,
right?
Like the ultimate comic Spider-Man,
right?
Which is why I always liked the difference, because I think that I agree with you where Toby is like transported to like the modern world, but he's almost like the original like Ditko and Stan Lee, like that Peter Parker, but like again, if he was a late 80s kid.
Sure. And here's the thing, like that's what Sam Raimi grew up reading. And that's what took a lot of heavy inspiration. That's why he didn't know who Venom really was. He didn't read it at that point in his life when Venom's introduced.
And he didn't even want to use Venom.
Right, exactly, because he was used to like this old school Steve Ditko Spider-Man.
Yeah, I mean, because Venom isn't until post the original Secret Wars.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't think Raimi was reading shit at that point.
Exactly, and but I mean, you can see the clear inspiration of the OG Spider-Man with Tobey's Peter Parker.
Absolutely, it just doesn't have. He's not the Peter in the comics with like the sweater vest and all that because it's not the 60s.
Exactly, but like the persona of that is clearly there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I
I would understand. I think I could have more context to Sci-Fi's comment if he has to say what his favorite is, because Toby is mine, but at the same time, I would say that the Ultimate comics are my favorite Spider-Man comics, which again is more similar to what Andrew is as a character, but you know, again, for me cinematically, I still think Toby takes the cake.
Sure. To me, I like Andrew the best in terms of like portraying the character of Spider-Man, because I really am into the Ultimate comics more than the OGs, right? But Toby has the wonderful ability to be put into these masterful movies where Andrew's in good movies, but like he's not in masterpieces like Toby is, you know, and that's why Toby's ultimately our Spider-Man, because we grew up more so on those movies as opposed to Andrew's movies. But you get the masterful Sam Raimi making these movies, and they actually have so much depth to them.
Yeah, they really dropped the ball. Not that I don't respect what Mark Webb. Not that I don't respect. I don't respect. Again, like what Mark Webb was trying to do conceptually. I think just, you know, you could say cinematographically, how it comes off like visually and just how it's put together. It's not as it's just not as well done as someone like Raimi. And then, of course, just to make a scant comment about Tom Holland, who, of course, I mean, for me is my least favorite, obviously. But even that, the MCU failed there too, because the director is like literally who? Like you couldn't have gotten like, I think they should have sought out a far more established filmmaker. Not to sound like a hypocrite, But you know what I mean? Like they needed to get, maybe I shouldn't have said established filmmaker. They needed someone with a very clear like artistic vision and not having like the studio like breathing down the necks of the filmmaking process. Because of course we can all agree that cinematically those are like the least well done of the movies. So
I mean, I'm with you, sci-fi. With you get that sense of emotion from Tom in No Way Home. I mean, I think that's clearly the best out of those films, and I think that's where. But I can't even tell you the director's name right now. I'm blanking on his name, but
yeah, well, I forgot.
I love No Way Home.
As do I.
I think it has great sequences, but to me, the movie really kicks into gear once the goblins like in true form. Otherwise, the movie's very okay. Like,
Yeah, it's very slow getting there. It tries to be more interesting than it is.
right. But
I mean,
again,
I liked Doctor Strange in it too. Like that was great. I honestly thought in the beginning, like they should have been like there should have just been more between them as a way to make it more. You know what I mean? Like just something about like give us a cool conversation between Spider-Man and Doctor Strange.
and it's a rush sequence. Also, it's like Doctor Strange, you're not the Sorcerer Supreme in this universe, but you're still one of the most smartest people on the planet. And you're just going to be like, oh, yeah, let's do this forget me spell for Peter Parker just like that. Where there could have been like a few more lines of dialogue to actually make that happen. But it just feels like it just happens.
Not to go completely into that, but I still love it too.
I'm a huge fan of it. And of course, Toby and Andrew being in it makes it miles better. But even without them, that whole sequence of Goblin and Tom fighting in the apartment is excellent. But yeah. But you also said that sci-fi mentions that Toby lacks emotion. I
have to disagree, man. Watching those performances, like Toby, I mean, Toby's an amazing actor, like just outside of these movies too. Like,
he's a great actor. Andrew, I will say, is a better actor.
Andrew, dude, I just watched last night. I watched Silence, or 2 nights ago. Yeah. So Andrew goes hard.
Andrew's remarkable. I think he's the most gifted out of the three. And yes,
but Toby's right up there, man.
Toby's great. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, sci-fi mentions that Andrew gets you feeling what Peter's feeling, and I can agree with that. I mean, only to the extent that when Andrew's in the suit, you can actually like feel the emotion from Spider-Man more so. Where Toby in the suit, I'm not getting as much because he's not as animated. Andrew's a very animated actor. But Toby, when he's like without the mask acting, he does a fantastic job. But I know with Andrew, when the mask is on, you don't have to see his face like to tell what he's feeling. And I understand that point of view.
Yeah, I definitely agree with your point about how they talk as Spider-Man, where Toby's is far less talkative.
And I mean, he'll just kind of stand there. At least Andrew's like whimsical,
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't know. I prefer both styles. Like I say, I still think Toby's my favorite. But I will again give you like an objective like point that is true that Andrew has far more of Spider-Man's like silliness.
Right. Exactly. Like Andrew really hammers the Spider-Man being the shit talker he is. But again, Toby says stuff like that, and especially the first Spider-Man.
Dude, the best Spider-Man quip is, nice outfit. Did your husband make that for you? Yeah, that's peak Spider-Man messing with people. That's amazing.
That, and then I love it's in the burning building scene in Spider-Man 1 where Goblin just goes, "Are you in or are you out?" Like after him like asking to like team up with me, and then Peter just goes, "You're the one who's out, Gobby, out of your mind," and it's just like it's just silly, But it's Toby,
You're the one who's out, Gobby. Yeah, out of your mind. Like that's very good. That's Spider-Man.
Great. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's so good. That is one of the funniest. That's one of my favorite elements of Spider-Man is how funny he is and how much he yeah, how much he mocks the villains whilst fighting them. It's pretty brilliant.
Well, the thing is that's great about the Raimi movies, and with the first one, you get introduced to all these characters within this movie, and like I would say, I love Dunst as MJ. I think she's arguably best in this movie with how she is like being that intrigue for Peter. Like I'm so hooked into this girl, and then eventually getting her at the end, and she has this good speech being like, as I was about to die, I could only see one face, and it was your face, Peter, and that's everything that Peter Parker wants to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, but then as he's kissing her in the cemetery,
Yeah,
he goes, "I can't. I'll always be your friend." And it's like, shit, man. He can't have what he wants because he knows the people he loves will be put in danger. Just due to the sole fact that he is Spider-Man. This one guy putting this whole city on his shoulders.
yeah.
And it dives so much deeper into that aspect in Spider-Man 2.
Of course. Yeah, to where he gives up the responsibility, but it's like
just so he could be a little selfish for once.
Right, exactly.
But then he has to realize that he can't. This is his responsibility.
Right.
But of course, we're gonna go hard into Spider-Man 2 next week, no doubt. But
yeah, I'm hyped for that one, especially getting the theater experience for the first time. Yeah, well, actually, technically for the second time.
Yeah, this will be my second time seeing it in theaters, and I actually remember my first time seeing it.
I can't remember it, like literally picture myself being there, but obviously I remember watching it all of the time, so I had it. But I do remember seeing 3.
I will say, I remember seeing it with my father, and I always remember the theater being so loud for my young ears when Doc Ock's escaping from the hospital.
Yeah.
So that's always.
Dude, that was ear rape.
Oh, it was, no doubt.
But that's Raimi at his. That's literally Raimi, doing the editing and shot style of Evil Dead.
Exactly.
Like he brought the pure horror A game to that sequence.
And we're gonna experience that.
Oh man.
We gotta be prepared for that sequence because we're gonna hear it.
That's gonna frighten me.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
to go back to my point, like just being introduced to all these characters and actors in these roles. Of course, I love James Franco as Harry. I think he's one of the best parts of this entire trilogy.
Bro, it's some of the best. It's some of the best work of his career.
Really.
Unironically,
everyone else you can say like, oh, they've done this, they've done that. Franco's done a lot, but like this is easily some of his best work.
I would say it's this, and this is early Franco, and then to 2010's Franco with As I Lay Dying, where he adapted a William Faulkner novel, and it's really weird, but it's very good. But anyway, this and that to me, at least to me, is my favorite of his work.
And like Harry has some of the best development over this whole trilogy.
Brilliant arcs.
Brilliant. And this first movie, like, it just shows how he's like, he's just Peter's friend. He's always like protecting him, and like, but he still goes after MJ and doesn't tell Peter, so it's a little bit of a backstabby move. But Peter's his boy. Peter knows. He's like, whatever.
Well, think about it. He doesn't really know, despite that it's still not good. But he doesn't, from Harry's perspective, he like doesn't really like know this change that's happening in Peter. So in his mind, he's still like, I imagine it's like, oh, he would never talk to her anyway. I'm just gonna go for it,
because it's like there's even a line, like a whole scene in the movie talking about it after Peter finds out. He's like, you never made a move, man. And Peter's like, nope, I didn't. And this is like all over this whole course of this movie of Peter just confidence.
Yeah,
and that's why by the end of the movie he's able to actually get the girl, but he has to decline it.
Yeah.
So Harry's just that good foil for him to try to push him to be better. But what I love specifically from Franco in this movie is the ending, where you get we haven't even talked about Defoe, but like as Defoe is dying and whatnot, or he's about to die, like he's pretending to be Norman in this moment, but still Goblin. He's like, God bless you, Peter. like Norman's saying all this, and then at Norman's funeral, Harry goes, "God bless you, Peter. You're the only family I have left." And it's powerful, bro. But don't tell Harry, says Norman.
Don't tell Harry.
The last thing Norman can say.
But think about it. Is that last line? That's not the Goblin. That's Norman.
That's truly Norman. I think that last line is the last we see of Norman. Like that whole sequence beforehand where he's like, "I've been like a father to you, Peter." That's all Goblin.
Yeah.
Trying to get into Peter's head. But Peter's like, "I have a father. His name's Ben Parker," which is beautiful.
Yeah.
And but also I'm like, dude, like, yes, you've been there for Peter in a way, but also like you've never really been like a father to Peter. Like in my eyes.
No, that's just manipulation.
Is.
Yeah.
Truly. That's where Peter's probably like, Gobby, you're not getting me, homie.
You're fucked, man.
Yeah. And I agree, sci-fi. Franco is great in Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Correct. It. That's another one. I can't believe I forgot that. Yes. I love his character in that.
Also one of my favorite trilogies of all time.
Yeah, easily. I believe we touched on it. What?
Franco's in 2 of my favorite movie trilogies of all time. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah. I mean, we need to make if we haven't already, we need to make a specific Apes trilogy video.
Well, we could do that in the near future. We have Kingdom to see here pretty soon.
Yes, we do.
So we could do an Apes trilogy retrospective of some sort. But once we see Kingdom, we can do some review on that, I'm sure. So
yeah, we if we do a review of Kingdom, we should get Brandon in here and in on the actual commentary.
Easily, and I'll probably want Bob too, because I mean, me and Bob saw all 3 the whole trilogy in theaters, like on like War. So like he's into this shit as well.
Excellent. Anyway,
so back to Spidey. So one of the best things about this movie is you get one of the best comic book villain performances of all time with Willem Dafoe.
Absolutely.
He is so masterful in this movie. Like, I love how for the Thanksgiving dinner, he's just in the elevator and he's just like, it's just got like the look on his face where he's just like, I can't tell he's trying to hold back Gobby or Gobby's there the whole time at this Thanksgiving dinner. Where this is like Gobby time should like fully taking form and taking over for Norman. But then like he goes upstairs and then like Peter's eyes stay on the ceiling with the blood on him. And then the blood drops as Norman turns his head and he hears it. That's where it's like Goblin's fully out because he knows, or he's starting to know who Peter is.
Dude, that's crazy. I mean, well, I think that goes to just the comment that I was going to say is that he gives a like, while at times it's like bursting, with anger and the insanity, but I think Dafoe, of course, does deliver a very subtle and like nuanced performance in that balance between like where is the line of like where does Norman stop and like the Goblin like persona, like your comment on that overlap, really I agree with that a lot. It's very, very well done.
But what I love is how he can come back to the role almost 20 years later and do arguably just as good of a job, if not better. So this is one of his like best roles, and it's for a freaking Spider-Man movie. And Dafoe's one of the best actors out there.
Easily. Yeah, it doesn't matter, dude. It doesn't matter what he's in, man. He's showing up.
Yeah, and I just love. It's just to go with like how he's anger, like you said. I just love in the boardroom meeting where they're like, Norman's just saying all these great things about his company, and then they're like, Norman, we're deciding to sell because of all those reasons, and he's just like, he just screams, "You know how much I sacrificed?" And how he says it. Just imagine being in that.
No, but I sacrificed.
But just imagine being in the room. People have to like shit themselves or something. Like,
you can't do this to me.
You can't do this to me. It's great. It's so good.
I started this company. Dude, it's again the performance, like the hurt, the desperation, the like panic in that moment on his face. Like again, Defoe can jump to just any emotion like that.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things he's best at. But I love when I like seeing this in the theater. I just knew this whole movie. I was just waiting for that final, like 20 minutes of the movie, the whole time. Where I'm just waiting for the final like interaction between Gabi and Spidey. And like just that whole scene in that warehouse where they're just beating the absolute snot out of each other. And then of course they Norman died, and you get to the like that beautiful final swinging sequence where I'm like, how we have not gotten anything better than that, or post the Sam Raimi trilogy. Like
I agree.
Because at least like Andrew has some very good swinging moments, I will say. And Tom, I say he only has one, and it's at the end of Far From Home. But it's like besides that, it's like you get like nothing. But in these movies, you get these full on epic swinging set pieces.
Absolutely.
I'm like, how do we not get that more?
Like, I know, yeah, Andrew. I know Andrew has like short bursts of it. Sure. But yeah, does Tom have like a handful? Like, does he even have any?
I think he has the end of Far From Home, and then a little bit at the end of No Way Home, which is a good moment.
Yeah,
where he's wearing like a classic Spider-Man suit.
Yeah,
but that's really it.
Yeah, yeah. It does. They don't touch what Raimi did, and of course, like that leads me to comment on the quality of the CGI.
Oh, for the time, it's insane.
To this day, every time I see it, I'm just like, dude, this looks amazing.
Well, imagine, okay, so we're going to feel this hardcore next week, my friend.
Yeah.
Okay, but me coming off of the movie yesterday, I'm just like, how in the fuck is this movie like 22 years old?
Yeah.
And it looks miles better than most of these superhero movies we're getting.
Bro, dude, it looks better than fucking Tom Holland's entirely CGI'd ass suit.
Oh yeah. Where it's like, oh, you have Disney money now, and you're spending hundreds of millions on this.
Dude, it looks so bad when you could put so much money into the real costume.
Right, and there's certain moments,
which is especially with Spider-Man. Like for someone like Spider-Man and Batman, like those two characters, like the cinematic costume, like is everything. Like how you fuck it up that bad. I mean, not to make the topic about the MCU ones, but it's still like it's just like. But by comparison, the Raimi suit is brilliant.
It's incredible, and it's. Here's the thing: this is gonna be the suit that stands the test of time. It has for this 20 so years, where like that suit's iconic to the image of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Where I wouldn't say any of the others are, even though I love Andrew's suit in Spidey too.
We would still, yeah. I mean, I remember. Do you still hold the opinion that the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit is like the most accurate? I think it still is the most
live action, yes, and it still looks fantastic in No Way Home.
Yeah, they both
where he's standing next to two other Spider-Man, he looks the best.
Yeah. Well, and they even make like weird like micro adjustments to the Raimi suit that you can like tell it looks like the slightest bit different, and I was always weirded out by that.
Oh, in No Way Home, yeah.
Yeah. I can't put my finger on even what it is, but it looks slightly different.
It does. I mean, I get it. This has roughly been like 15 years since we've seen him, so maybe he has a new suit. But it also just like it's more or less the same suit. It shouldn't look that like I don't know. It just doesn't look that. It doesn't look the same as like seeing him last in Spider-Man 3.
No. There was something again, just the slightest bit off about it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I mean, I agree, 100%.
But I like the details of the Raimi suit. Like it takes after some artwork by some really good Marvel artists, Tim and Greg Hildebrand. If you look up these guys' artwork, they made some promotional. I don't know about promotional if that's the right word, but they made some like painted like comic images during and around slightly before the time period of the movies. And they were the ones, I think, because that Spider-Man still had like web shooters, if I'm not mistaken. but their suit of Spider-Man introduced like or not introduced, but they had like the more triangular eyes, like the more pointed, and the like raised webbing, like that Spider-Man had that type of detail on it, which I think is just interesting. If they were inspired by that, I think that's pretty cool.
I think they would have to be inspired by Toby.
That's what I mean. Like the Toby suit has to be somewhat inspired by their pieces. I just really like, talking about the costume itself. I think it's a pretty damn good Spider-Man suit.
I mean, yeah, no, I love the suit. I love the first time we see it. Like talking about this movie itself, it's like the first time you see it, you don't get like one solid good look at it because like kind of like a montage of him taking out like petty thugs.
Yeah,
you get certain shots of it, but then like there's like the clear cut, like you see him and then he like puts his hand out. It's just a great like shot.
Yeah,
it's like the real true like first look at him, and it's great.
Yeah, no, it is. It's again, it's a glorious suit.
Yeah. But yeah, I will say, I'm gonna have to go back to this once we go through all three of these. But after seeing this movie in the theater, I remember I used to go between if this or 2 were my favorite. After seeing it in the theater, 2 I think is truly my favorite, no matter what.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, and I love 1. 1's awesome, but I kind of have a feeling like after seeing 3 in theaters again, that might bump this down too.
That's my ranking. I like not again in cinematic quality per se, but just my favorite is 2, 3, 1.
Yeah. Again, this could change once I see all 3 of them in theaters, of course. But like, if that's my reaction after seeing it in the theater, where it's like, oh, I think I'm bumping it down.
Yeah, Novak agrees. 3 is fucking hype.
Dope. 3 is dope.
3 is insane. 3 is great.
I cannot stand the hate that 3 gets.
Same.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a big chunk of when we talk about 3, no doubt.
It drives me insane.
Yeah. Of course, there's like rushed elements to 3, but it's like that was studio interference,
which Raimi even admits.
Yeah. And of course, we were still ultimately supposed to get a Spider-Man 4 after that movie.
Yes.
It just never happened.
Did you hear people uttering rumors that Sony actually wants to make it now? Actually no, it was the actor that plays Sandman.
Thomas Hayden Church has said it, yeah. Who plays Sandman.
That apparently Sony wants to do it.
Yeah, but I know Dunst is like, it's great where we left it off at, and like, do we need to make it? No. Because 3 is unintentionally a beautiful ending to
it. It is. Oh, it's gorgeous.
Because I know Raimi was always like, oh, we're going to make 4. But like, he somehow made a beautiful ending to a trilogy with like still having the envision of a sequel.
Yes.
A sequel we never got. So that's crazy.
No, it's tragic, dude. And I remember hearing that whole time, like in anticipation of like, dude, it's coming. Like we're getting a 4th one. Lizard and Vulture, dude. Lizard and Vulture.
I kind of think we're gonna get that, and I think Andrew's gonna be in this Venom movie that comes out later this year.
Oh, I hope to God, man. Those movies need Spider-Man.
Those movies could happen, and then like Sony's still getting theirs by being able to use Spider-Man, and then they're both going to be in Secret Wars, so it's going to be a win for everyone across the board.
That should be what's going on. If they were smart, they would do all of that.
Yeah, and then while the MCU can still like make Spider-Man 4, like their Spider-Man 4, so you can have
exactly.
all 3 of them basically getting movies.
And because the Tom films don't do the number thing, so you can still have Tom's movie and then have Spider-Man 4.
Exactly. We'll see. But again, I think after seeing this Venom movie, which I think it's called The Last Dance or something like that.
What?
I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. But
that's brilliant.
I mean, if this is the last movie with Tom Hardy's Venom, have him fight Spider-Man. He's been teasing it for a while too, so it's.
Well, now he knows. Now he knows what Spider-Man looks like and everything.
Yeah, he knows who Spider-Man is, so let's do it.
Dude,
we'll see. We'll see if that movie still comes out this year. I know it's supposed to, but
Venom's
supposed to come out this later half of the year.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're getting 3 Sonyverse movies.
Dude, I've only seen clips of the Venom films. I've never seen them all.
They're okay. Like, they're not good movies, but I mean,
No.
they're entertaining enough. Like, Madam Web is like a bad movie,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but Madam Web's like so bad it's good in a way. Like,
Right,
kind of
right.
like a Morbius situation.
Oh yeah, it's Morbin time.
It's Morbin time. But I mean,
Dude,
again, if this Venom 3 has Andrew Spidey in it, then I'm planting my butt in that movie theater.
I think Morbius should be in Deadpool 3.
Yeah,
That'd be hilarious.
great. I'm so excited for that movie too, man. We're gonna have a long talk about that movie. I guarantee it.
Oh, totally. I remember. Didn't you say that you thought Toby would be in that movie?
Potentially.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, no matter what, we're gonna get cameos from like the Avengers, because like apparently in the and whatever they showed at CinemaCon, it's like you are an integral part to saving the sacred timeline. Is what like the TVA is telling Deadpool. So
Oh,
yeah,
it's really.
he's gonna go to certain moments in like the Avengers movies, and we'll probably see like Chris Evans. We may see RDJ.
Oh yeah.
And then again, we could see Toby at the end of it, like an after credit scene. Imagine him and Hugh talking in an after credit scene.
Bro, dude, imagine though the comedic level of a scene between Robert Downey Jr. and Ryan Reynolds. That would be so funny.
Gold, man, gold. But yeah, the only reason I could see Toby being in the end of it is because apparently the rumor is it's Hugh Jackman, Tobey Maguire, and RDJ being like the 3 main characters of Secret Wars, where they're like forming a team for this event.
Yeah. Wow. And it would be a different Tony then.
Yeah, potentially. Or
Dude.
it could be a Tony from the Sacred Timeline that they snag at one point in time. But
yeah. Oh man.
That's the dream. That's the dream. But yeah,
I regret to say I don't think it'll be that cool, but we'll see.
I know that's what Hugh Jackman said. I only want to do another movie if I get the work beside Tobey Maguire and Robert Downey Jr. So he probably already knows these details. That's why he's like, yeah, that's when I'll do this movie.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll hope then. I'll hope.
There's hope.
Okay.
But I guess to go back to Spider-Man 1, I mean, again, it's just the start of a beautiful trilogy. It's one of the best origin superhero movies out there. I don't know how many I would put over it, if I'm being honest. I'd maybe put like...
I'd put Man of Steel.
I'd put Man of Steel over it for sure. It and the first Iron Man are pretty close. I might still give the edge to Spider-Man.
What about Begins?
Begins is probably a closer argument, I would say. But but here's the thing: they're both
Joker.
They're somewhat similar to me in terms of like these are 2 masterful filmmakers. Where the second movie is like the more deeper, nuanced movie, and the third one's like this epic. But the first one is like a very like, okay, this is the universe. This is a very comic booky movie.
Yeah.
So very similarly structured to the Dark Knight trilogy, I would say.
I actually like that comparison. Yeah, I think where Rises obviously goes for the far closer to the literal meaning of an epic. But yeah, you're right.
No, well, yes, of course. But I just say in terms of scale, 3 is more comparable to that.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I think I'd still maybe slightly give the edge to Spider-Man. But I would say only because I just like how it's ultra comic booky to me, where Batman Begins is, but also it's just more of like potentially a better movie. But I would say I find more enjoyment with Spider-Man.
Yeah, maybe so.
But again, both incredible origin movies. But Man of Steel, I think, trumps both of them, which we will agree
absolutely on. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's no question that Man of Steel. I mean, have to give it to Zach on this one.
So Sci-Fi said that Venom: The Last Dance comes out October 25th, and then David says that the films would be better if they were, especially the second one, if they they were shortened, which I could agree. I just don't feel like they were very long movies though either, David.
I was about to say I didn't think they were.
I will say the
too long.
action sequences are pretty sick. Like Carnage vs. Venom's pretty dope. Venom vs. Riot, it's sick in the first movie. But it just gets that like campy, cheesy Sony for most of those movies, and it's just like, Sony, do you really need Sam Raimi to like prosper? Maybe.
Seems that way.
Seems that way. I mean, like again, I really like the Andrew movies, but I mean, they're not close.
Yeah, I do too.
Where Amazing Spider-Man 2 is another movie where I'm like, I think it's very much so shat on, and I don't think it's deserving of that. Where there's far worse movies out there or superhero movies out there.
Absolutely.
But it's also a movie that killed a universe, I guess, where it gets Andrew fired. So,
which I'm still angry about that. Yeah, and Sci-Fi made that point too, that Amazing Spider-Man 3 would have been sick.
It would have, because that's what we probably get symbiote suit in that.
Yeah, it's probably Sinister Six.
Yeah, Sinister Six and potentially Andrew with the black suit could have been tight.
Yeah, that would have been absolutely nuts.
That would have been very spectacular Spider-Man-esque, because he fights the Sinister Six when he has the symbiote suit, so you can have that whole because like in the Spectacular Spider-Man, like the symbiote is taking control of Peter while he's asleep to like take down the Sinister Six.
Whoa,
which is crazy. So like that would have been nuts with Andrew, and then that's where he realizes he has to get this shit off of him.
Yeah,
and then take down the Sinister Six on his own, and then like an after credits scene could have been like a Venom tease for a fourth movie.
Yeah, man, and especially coming off of after Gwen's death, that would have been perfect for the symbiote.
No shit, dude. This would have been a brutal Peter.
Yeah,
which
ties
into what we get with No Way Home, where he's like, I stopped pulling my punches.
Yeah. Well, I hope they still make. That'd be cool if they still made that.
Yeah. Oh well.
Oh well. Fuck.
I'll take him being in Venom potentially.
No, totally. 100%. 100%.
That's all. If we can get Sam Raimi Spider-Man 4, I don't need to see Andrew outside of Secret Wars potentially.
Yeah, if that's the consolation prize, I agree. I agree with that.
It's a great consolation prize.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Right. Any more thoughts on the first film in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy?
Well, I would say for one, shout out to Joe Manganiello as Flash Thompson.
Facts.
I wouldn't want to fight me neither. That's absolutely brilliant casting.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
I also like what?
Fantastic casting.
Oh yeah, he's wonderful. And I would also like to just shout out the interesting point about the Goblin design, where I really like it, but I also still lament that we could not have the original mask.
Sure.
That was straight out of the comics.
I will say,
like that is sad.
I agree, but what I do find great is that when we first really see the Goblin, like in full outfit, like full costume, at this parade that's being held in Times Square, the first time you see him with the mask, there's like a lighting thing where it's like his top of his mask is purple. It's pretty sick.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Never noticed that. Okay.
So it's like a cool reveal and like kind of be like, okay, there you go, a little bit.
There you go.
Yeah. I
just love that. I mean, again, I still love the metallic like armor design.
I agree. And I like how he looks in No Way Home. I still think having a mask of some sort would have been sick, but I like the whole aspect of it.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my final thought is just I really do like the costume design.
All around.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Spider-Man suit's great. I love the Goblin suit. It's classic. People would say he looks like a Power Ranger, but it's like whatever. I think he looks cool. It is what it is. And I just like the idea of like one of my favorite scenes in the movie is when he's on the rooftop after Goblin just like drug. He's having this whole conversation with him to be like, listen, this whole city could be ours, and like they'll love you one day, and the next they're gonna despise you.
Yeah.
Then, but I love in the sequence how his eyes like go up and you can see his actual eyes instead of the yellow.
Yeah,
eyes.
that's sick.
I always like how under like the mouthpiece you can see his actual mouth moving.
Yeah.
But then again, to go off of what I said, like the city will hate you. Like you see that like inner turmoil with Peter when he's just walking past like a newspaper stand for the Daily Bugle. And it's like hero or menace and shit like that. And he's like, this whole city will hate you. It's like as you hear Willem Dafoe like in Peter's mind, it's just great. Where he's actually contemplating all this, but then of course Goblin figures out who he is. Especially after their fight in the burning building, and then he goes after Aunt May, and then goes after MJ. Peter's like, I'm done with this shit.
Yeah, well, it's a really brilliant way of manipulation from the villain, because it's like he's making him think about it from like the wrong point of view, where it's like if you're out there like saving people in the first place, like it takes away from the idea of like what's the actual like ethic and like what is you have the responsibility to just like the world because you have these abilities at all. You know what I mean? Like he's making him think about it from like the villain, like he's making him think about it from like the selfish point of view and making it like, yeah, they hate you and all this stuff. And it's like, well, again, if you have like this ethic and like you have a foundational like reason, then that shouldn't matter.
Well, in a way, they're mirrored characters. Like even from like the whole sequence of like Peter's asleep after he gets bit by the spider, while the birth of Goblin's happening, while the transformation to Spider-Man's happening at the same time.
Yeah.
To that point on the rooftop to be like, we're alike. It's just I go one way, you go the way of the hero. Like we're two of the most powerful people on the planet as far as we know, and we can take it if we want to, or you can have them hate your guts, and I'm still gonna come after you anyway. It's crazy,
right?
And then I like what Sci-Fi says here. Like, just goes to the whole menacing aspect of the Green Goblin. Aunt May's just in her bedroom, saying the Lord's Prayer at her bed, and then like he just comes blasting in. He just goes, "Finish it, finish it."
Dude, it's so dark. It's so dark, and he's like demonic, and there's like fire around him. Like it's the imagery is very direct.
Oh yeah, Sci-Fi. If you haven't seen it in years, man, if you're able to, if it's in your local theater, I'd highly recommend. Anyone who's watching, definitely, if you're able to see it. I know for me, like at the theater, me and Brad and Brandon in the background go to, they only played it for one day, which is kind of lame.
Yeah,
but I know some places, I think like Regal or Cinemark theaters, they're doing it for the whole week. Or at least a few days after yesterday, they would be showing it. So if you have a chance to see it, I would definitely recommend, because it's like, I don't know, it's just one of the better superhero movies of all time. Like, you might as well go see it. But,
yeah, I've seen it enough times, and I own it, that I'm like, all right, whatever. But I know at least for 2 and debatably 3, I'm gonna be there.
Right. I mean, 2 is like a must. No matter what.
Dude, that was the one. I'm like, I mean, when we were buying the tickets, I was like, dude, that has to be it.
Yeah, and it's like, just for me, I'm like, I might as well see all 3. I have a season pass. I can just go for like $6 basically to see all 3. So I'm like, whatever.
Right.
Well.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm sure after we see 2 next week, you might be like, all right, fuck it, let's do it for their seats.
No, I agree.
But again, I don't know if there will be, but there could be. At least maybe not by me, but at the very least you can see it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, well, with that said, you ready to close it out?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm all good.
Beautiful, because I gotta eat. I'm a hungry man.
Okay.
But anyway, guys, I'm happy whoever came in to watch the stream. Of course, I feel like whenever Brad's on here, we have a beautiful episode with some great commentary, specifically in the superhero genre, as I always love. I'd be down to revisit us talking about the Zack Snyder Justice League trilogy again in the near future, just to have on the show if there's not much going on in the superhero landscape.
I could rewatch them all. I was having we've had some good conversation about it over the last time we really had a good stream about it. So I any chance we have to go deep on those films, I'm ready.
Of course. We can at least talk about like BVS and go deep into that on an episode of this, because again, this is Comic Adaptations Weekly. We'll do it every week.
We got to.
We got to. But yeah, make sure to come in, check us out next week. It'll be roughly around the same time, I would say, next Tuesday, because again, we usually try to do this on Mondays, but with these screenings being on Monday, that's impossible.
That's right.
So yeah, roughly next week, we're going to talk about Spider-Man 2, arguably the best superhero movie of all time. It's between this and Batman vs Superman as my personal favorites.
Yeah, those two for me. I for each like universe, it's kind of like DC's. That's my favorite. That's my Marvel favorite.
Yeah, hands down. And sci-fi. I guess before we go, I'll answer your question. Will we be live for the Acolyte? Maybe.
I could give you maybe episode 1, but I'm really not excited for that show at all.
We should for sure watch the first episode, do the stream, and if we're not into it, we don't have to do any more.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll at least do at least a first live reaction to it. All right.
I'm down for that.
All right, guys. Of course, I'm Schmook here with my buddy Brad. This has been M-Cubed Comic Adaptations Weekly. And we will catch y'all very soon. Make sure to like and subscribe. Leave your comments down below and share with your friends because this is some good stuff right here. Don't want your friends missing out on some awesome commentary just to toot our horn a little bit. All right, guys. We'll catch y'all next week for Spider-Man 2. Peace out.
Peace out.